because it's Black Monday and I'm black and I want to take over.
In other words, his check didn't come in today.
It didn't come. I'm very upset about that. I'm very upset about it.
That's what I thought he meant.
Yeah, I said, George is like, do you want to tape after the Monday night game? And I'm like, Monday night game? I'm like, George, snap out of it. It's week 17. Tomorrow's Black Monday. Coaches get fired. There's a coaching carousel.
I wish we had that song and another one bites the dust.
Oh, yeah. Because there's
Greg Schiano just got fired.
Oh, he did just get fired?
So, put it this way. If, and mind you, we won't know because by the time we're done.
It just popped up.
Yeah.
Wow.
By the time we're done with this, who knows what'll happen. But if 8 coaches lose their jobs today, that means 16 coaches in the last 2 years have lost their jobs in the NFL.
That's half the coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and the thing is that when you have so many coaches lose their job the year before, usually it's like an ebb and flow. Usually the next year, okay, there's new coaches coming. You're not going to see that many lose their job.
For you out there, imagine that. You walk in year 1 at your job. At the end of that year, 8 people are gone, 8 new people. At the end of the next year, 8 different people from those get fired and 8 more new people come in. That would be crazy. How for anyone who works a job, where you rely on other people, especially to give you direction and to give you a path, and you're supposed to follow these people and listen to their direction and have faith in them, to have them be gone, you have to change, and everyone who comes into a new job wants to put their stamp on it. They want to change something and they want to let everyone know, this is how I did it.
Right.
And instead of going with something that worked in the past and going, hey, you know what, that kind of worked, but screw that, I'm going to do it my way. Right. And that's what a lot of these coaches do. They come in, they go, hey, that's cool, but I'm going to do this my way. And I'm just like,
that's not going to work.
No, like the Browns, like, look, we've seen overbearing.
Name their coach.
We've seen overbearing.
Their former coach.
We've seen overbearing.
The one that got fired yesterday.
We've seen overbearing people like David Stern and Bud Selig step in and do very questionable things.
Right.
But I'm waiting for Roger Goodell to have a sit down with the Browns owner and be like, Chauncey, you need to get your shit together. Yeah. You need to give your team and this league a chance, because now you're starting to make the league look bad.
Yeah.
When you can't hold it together, you're starting to make your team look less attractive, trying to figure out what's wrong and why do you keep getting a new head coach? Like, you can't continue. You have to pick someone and stick with them.
You have to. I mean, Rob Chudzinski basically is there for one season.
Who?
That's it. Chudzinski.
Never even heard of him.
Right. And that's the thing. No one, a lot of
and
people.
we'll never get a chance to hear of him again.
And you know what? It's sad. The sad thing about it is there's such a carousel in Cleveland. It was kind of like how Washington was a few years ago. It's like, okay, if you took football fans and you asked them right now, who's the coach before they heard that he got fired, who's the current coach of the Cleveland Browns? Most football fans would not be able to tell you.
No.
You know what I mean? Because they just, it was like, oh, isn't this person? No, he was the coach last year. He got fired. So I get your point, man. It's ridiculous. He's gone. He's out. They fired him last night. So
Vikings get a new head coach.
Well,
my thing is, if I'm taking the Minnesota job, I'm going to have a sit down with Adrian Peterson and discuss his comments earlier in the year where he said, I wouldn't mind going to play for Dallas. I'd be like, look, seriously, if that's what you want to do, that's what you're interested in, I'd ship his ass to Dallas. And the only reason I say that is because you're rebuilding. And what's the best way to rebuild?
Oh, man, get players. Yeah, I mean,
players and draft picks.
I'm going to tell you what right now.
Because you're not winning with them.
No, AP is not, he's not catching balls out of the backfield. He's a great runner. He's one of the best runners. He didn't have the rushing title this year. Did he have it last year? I know. He's not young.
No, and he has no help. No. He doesn't have a quarterback that commands anything, so people are putting 8 in the box and looking at Ponder and going, come on, good luck.
Yeah.
And who's Ponder got to throw to? That one receiver who had a breakout year. But here's the thing. You double him and still have 8 in the box.
Yeah.
Or 7 in the box and double him.
I think AP at this point in time is like, you know what, I'd love to play on turf. I'd love to play in dry weather. I'd love to play somewhere where
close to home.
Obviously, because he went to, Oklahoma. I think his mindset is like, you know what, I'd love to play somewhere where I can keep piling up, maybe get a one title, and more importantly, have the all-time rushing record.
Yeah. So if you brought me in to head Minnesota, I'd sit down with the owner and be like, look, I understand you love Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson is worth more to us in draft picks and players than he is playing on this team. Because he's going to give us a chance to build. And now I understand that Dallas probably wouldn't want to give up the most in the world, but you never know. You might catch Jerry Jones on a crazy-ass day. He might give you a first round and a second round.
And that's the thing, man. I mean, running backs right now are just don't have a lot of trade value. Quarterbacks do, but running backs, everybody has a two-headed monster. You have 2, 3, 4 deep.
DeMarco Murray and Adrian Peterson?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I don't understand why they didn't just keep giving the ball to DeMarco Murray last night, but I mean, whatever.
Maybe he wants to go play for Houston. Because Arian Foster's probably hurt. He probably just busted his, pinky toe. Yeah. I know. He's busy doing truck commercials looking for a space shuttle.
So in other words, the Vikings are going to have a new head coach.
Right. The Vikings now that brings us to the big one, and that's here in DC.
Are you sure you want to get that one? Or
yeah, we can skip. Let's skip it.
Okay. No. Well, we've talked about the Browns. We've talked about the Buccaneers. We've talked about the Vikings. So yeah, it's your turn.
Yeah. It's the whole thing with Shanahan. It's probably the most publicized one of all of it because obviously RG3 was like kind of becoming the face of the NFL last year. He gets hurt. Then all of a sudden you have this relationship with him and Shanahan. It looks like it's kind of like on the rocks.
Weird.
Obviously, you've always had Dan Snyder, who's the owner and always has meddled to some degree. I will actually say this. I feel like Dan Snyder has stepped back. To give Shanahan, I mean, who went, 24-40 in 4 years and his final season, 3-13. It just was terrible.
Did you hear Shanahan's remarks about being fired?
No, what did he say?
In typical, and I've read an article and I've alluded to it as you read these things. It's kind of like all arrows, all signs, all people want to point to Shanahan and be like, it's really Shanahan. And people want to talk to Robert Griffin how he's not taking accountability. Mm-hmm. And then you look at Shanahan and listen to the way he talks. He doesn't take any accountability. Yeah. So his closing statement today was, I think we're in a better place today because we no longer have these cap restrictions. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was kind of peculiar. You didn't talk about what you've done and didn't do. You basically said, we are where we are, and I helped us get us through this because Danny Boy spent too much money. That's how I interpreted what he said. Because like he said, he didn't take any onus. He didn't say, hey, look, I could have done this, and this better. I should have maybe we could have done this. Maybe we could have done. He didn't say any of that. Mm-hmm. He just sat there and now, granted, it was a snippet. It's what I heard. He just constantly harped on, the salary cap and how we're out of it and the Redskins are in a better place now.
Yeah, because they don't have the restrictions that they had those two previously.
Anybody could have done that. Yeah, anyone who makes it through that would have been in the same place you are. But why not talk about what could have been done or what you may have? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I look at everybody has to deal with certain things. You know, that's part of being a coach and stuff.
You knew that going into the damn job.
And you know what? If anything, the Redskins came back this year. I think, obviously RG3 was hurt, but the biggest mistake was he shouldn't have started the season.
No.
That's where if you're a real coach and if Snyder's saying, if you're saying, you know what, he's not ready, Dan, we shouldn't start him. I know he wants to do it and everything else, but it's this, you put all your eggs in one basket with this guy. If he does get hurt, then we're fucked. We got a great quarterback. That's why we drafted him. Let's start him. He's had all the practice and he's been taking all the snaps. I don't know why they didn't do that. And I think that's where it all started. It went crappy last year before he got hurt, and then it just got worse at the beginning of the season. Anyway.
Real quick, you know how I feel the worst for?
Who?
As for Redskins?
Who?
London Fletcher.
Yeah.
That is a stand-up dude, and somebody told me he's going to 2 Pro Bowls and one as an alternate. That man should be in the Pro Bowl this year. I don't understand. He's missed 0 games in 16 seasons. He's a stand-up man, and to sit there and have to go through this, and he could have left at any time.
Yeah,
I'm sure he could have been like, look, I'm done. And he stuck with it. He stuck with the team. That just shows you what kind of person London Fletcher is. I think that team needs more London Fletchers, less D'Angelo Halls, and less Santana Mosses.
Well, those 3 are going to all be gone. So, and George just summed it up. London Fletcher is gone. Santana Moss will be gone. D'Angelo Hall will be gone. And more than likely, Brian Arakpo will be gone.
He can't stay healthy.
He can't stay healthy. He's got he's going to be up. They're not going to pay him.
Contract.
His contract is crazy heavy. And then you got Kerrigan, who's good, who will probably stay. And then you can bring in some help and probably change up the defense. They're once again, who knows? Maybe if they can get a good defensive coordinator in there. If I would just have somebody who knows how to run spread offense.
You mean like somebody from Baylor?
Somebody who can run, get kind of like what you guys are doing. You know what I mean? And have a really, really good defensive coordinator. Now,
Coach of the Year, real quick. Who are you going with?
I'm going with your boy.
Seriously?
I'm going with your boy, definitely. 2 more thoughts. Do you think Jason Garrett will stay? They haven't said anything, and Jerry Jones looked visibly upset after last night's loss.
He always does. Mm-hmm. He about had a court, dude, when he threw that pick and they zoomed to him and damn it! When that pick got thrown at the end of the game, you can ask, and I just started laughing out loud. Like, I just laughed. I feel, and it's one of those really?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Tony Romo was sitting at the house with a voodoo doll. of Kyle Orton and going, not today, and grabbed his arm and threw the pass behind him.
Probably
just that had to be what happened.
You know what's funny? I know he wants to see him, but there's got to be a part of Tony Romo's like, thank God, because they would have if they made it to the playoffs, they'd have lost anyway. He's got to be like, thank God. It doesn't look like it's always
the Saints would have come in and blown their doors off.
Oh yeah, they would have came in and blown. Now this is the thing, okay? Tom Coughlin.
Bye.
You think he's gone?
I think Tom Coughlin. Garrett's a 50-50. If Garrett went, I wouldn't be surprised. If he stays, I wouldn't be surprised.
Tom Coughlin, that's
Coughlin's gone.
Tom Coughlin, Philbin in Miami.
I keep the guy in Miami. All the turmoil he had to go through, and Tannehill stank, but he has no line. Give the guy one more year.
These are people who, while we're taping, guys, it's 11 o'clock, noon right now, Monday, so we don't know. I think Philbin, he's iffy. I think Tom Coughlin can stay. He deserves the right because he's won 2 Super Bowls, but he probably might say, I'm gone myself.
How long can you ride the coattails on that?
Yeah, that's true. Tennessee Titans coach Mike Munchak, he's been there 3 years now. I think he might be gone too.
Yeah.
3 years. He's 22 and 26.
But they lost their
seasons.
starting quarterback like right at a clutch time. He was doing well, and then Jake Locker went down. So it's just like me as an owner, I don't know how much leeway you give a coach when players start going down.
Right.
Yeah, you'd like to have somebody step in, but let's be honest. How many teams short of Dallas have a legitimate backup?
But it's like you were saying in Washington. Like Shanahan's that's the kind of excuse Shanahan's was. Well, the cap, RG3, if
but
you're a really good coach.
But I'm thinking from an owner's perspective.
Yeah.
Shanahan just makes excuses because I don't think he knows what else to do because he's afraid. Jason Garrett, if anyone got to watch Jason Garrett's speech after the game last night, he did an outstanding job. He praised his players. He praised the season. He's like, look, it didn't end the way we did, but you have to look at the maturation process of some of these players. If you take a guy from the practice squad to starting by week 16, you got to think, well, now that guy will be there week 1. And I think as an owner, you have to look at all that.
As an owner, I would look at someone like Bruce Arians that's out in Arizona.
Bruce Arians?
No, not Arians. But we can go with that anyway.
Bruce Arians.
So anyway, Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians in Arizona. He did it in Indianapolis. He stepped in. He good. Then he went to Arizona. Basically, arguably, the last half of the season, Arizona's one of the best teams in the NFL. They just missed Mick. If they could have beat San Francisco, they would have squeezed into the playoffs. But in any other division, they would have won a division. I look at that with his personnel and his, who's their quarterback?
Carson Palmer.
Okay. Who was it before?
Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer, what has he done lately?
Real quick. Last thing, because Kevin
he's a backup on most teams. No, I think.
Kevin and I could sit here probably for the next 45 minutes and break down every team and do this because it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Is or will Lovie Smith be a head coach in the NFL at the start of next season?
No. The game is changing too much because of high school Texas football. It's going to the spread offense, and they're going to start. Now you're going to see college coaches having success in the NFL where we never saw that before.
And look, I'm a proponent of that, obviously, because that's what my team did. And I would rather see, like I told Kevin, I would rather see the Redskins roll the dice on an unproven college coach in the NFL for 2 or 3 seasons than go and do some witchcraft voodoo shit and try to bring Marv Levy back from the dead. Because, that's what they've been doing with Shanahan and Joe Gibbs and why you even wasted your time with the old ball coach, I have no clue. It's just been one bad head coach after another.
Yeah.
And you might as well roll the dice with some up-tempo, crazy college coach.
Yeah.
Go after Texas Tech and Kingsbury.
Yeah.
He's nuts.
Yeah.
Why not? What do you have to lose at this point?
I'd say go after somebody, Baylor, people were saying Baylor and stuff like this, and people were like, and I'm like going, stop. He's been great. Baylor was terrible before he came.
Texas
terrible.
Texas A&M head
Texas
coach.
A&M head coach, Louisville's head coach. I'm going to tell you, if you don't get him, Texas will get him.
And they're offering 10. I cannot wait.
Jump on them before the University of Texas gets them because they know what they're doing. They're going to get a good coach. I think they might be the first. We had a debate, and we'll talk about it on our show. I'm thinking Texas, the University of Texas, might hire the first black coach. It's a damn shame. A lot of people like George, my other buddy, they're like, no, they're not going to hire a black coach. It's sad that it's still like that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And
for
people,
what? Go ahead.
For people who want to say Texas A&M, you're right, and Texas A&M is now in the SEC. Who was the first black coach in the Big 12?
Right. I can't even remember.
I can't even think of one.
Yeah.
And I remember, and in my lifetime, and I'm not that old, Sylvester Croom got a job at Mississippi State or Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And the SEC almost had a heart attack because he was the first black head coach. He didn't last long. It's unfortunate. I think it's absolutely unfortunate and disgusting.
The University of Louisville's head coach is one of the best coaches out there in the country right now, without a doubt. If people can't see that, it doesn't matter what your skin color is. He is a great coach. Everywhere he's gone before, he's been a great coach.
Speaking of head coaches, O'Brien from Penn State should be the Texans' new head coach.
He is. They hired him. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they hired him. I don't know because it's just changing.
Yeah, we forgot about that one. So, and that's crazy because you take a guy who stepped into that situation. If you can turn that situation around, there's nothing in the NFL that should rattle you.
Yeah. And you know what? He might end up being a coach of the year next year in the NFL.
If they win.
Anyway, we're done.